Donald Trump claims that he would like to push forward with a bipartisan effort on an infrastructure bill. And recently, CNN hosted a panel to discuss this so-called legislation. And John Phillips, who's a conservative commentator and columnist, had an interesting perspective on what Trump should do moving forward on this legislation. Take a look.
I think it's wonderfully altruistic for him to start out wanting to get a bipartisan bill through, but he should have a plan B ready to go, because I think that is likely to fall apart almost immediately. I suspect that Democrats will go into this being both greedy and difficult. They're going to be greedy because Trump's going to be left holding the price tag, so they're going to ask for the moon. And they're going to be difficult because once you've been part of the resistance, it's hard to go from saying the guy should be impeached to saying your bridges are irresistible. So I suspect he's going to need more Republican votes than he thinks that he is. And I would do that by spending the money in red states, and when I spend money in blue states, I would make sure to target that money in districts where vulnerable Republicans are running for re-election.
Wow, that would be incredibly, sort of blatantly political. Not saying that it's not maybe a smart political strategy, but there are obviously also a lot of blue states that need that work on their bridges and roads.
Okay, if you noticed in one of the 28 corners that CNN has was a guy with his mouth open, shaking his head like, whoa, what the hell was that suggestion? That was Evan Siegfried. And you know what he is? He's a Republican strategist. Because these are not normal times. You're not supposed to go on TV and say, yeah, why don't we just give it to our voters and not their voters? If Obama had said, yeah, you know what, I'm going to send somebody out there to say, from now on, I'm just giving to my voters. I'm just going to, like, for example, African Americans. I'm just going to give blacks everything. And the whites that voted against me, I'm not going to give them anything. Heads exploded, as they should be. That would be a horrible thing to say.
Right.
If he said, I'm only representing the people who voted for me and not the people who didn't vote for me. I mean, that's a classic line that presidents say after they win, which is, I'm going to represent everybody. Trump and these conservatives, they don't believe it. They don't care. They don't. If your bridge collapses in a blue state, they don't care. They don't care about you. They've never cared about you.
So let's just think about the moral and ethical component to this, because remember, this isn't taxpayer money that's been contributed to federal coffers by Republicans or people in reds. This is money that's been contributed by people of all political ideologies, all political leanings. This is our hard-earned money that goes to the federal government, and it's supposed to be spent on things that benefit us as a country and benefit our lives, regardless of what our political affiliation is. And look, when I talk about this, people in red states get really fired up and angry, but the numbers prove what I'm about to say. People who live in states like California or places like New York City, right? All of the areas of the country that the red states hate, they contribute a lot more when it comes to taxpayer money, right? And a lot of that taxpayer money actually gets allocated to red states in the form of government programs. I'm not complaining about it because I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I want my taxpayer money to go to me and to my people and to my political affiliation. No, I want taxpayer money to go toward improving the lives of all Americans, right? So to sit there and say, oh, I want this political strategy to happen because it'll go ahead and benefit the same people who vote for Trump, who will then turn around and vote for Trump again for re-election. That's essentially what he's saying there. You know, it's upsetting, and you're right. Like we're so far removed from ethics at this point or morals at this point, and I don't know how to respond to it. I don't know what strategy should be used by good-hearted people when it's not a fair playing field anymore.
So the difference between conservatives and liberals are, in my opinion, and we've discussed on the show before, what they view to be us versus them. So a lot of conservatives have a very limited scope of us, and they're actually very good to the people that is within that circle of what they consider us. So their community, their church, their family, and they're wonderful to those folks, right? So they're not bad people in that sense, but everyone else is the others. So it used to be on racial grounds, and unfortunately for a lot of people, it's still on racial grounds. And it used to be people who got divorced. Oh, that's against the Bible, and we shun them. They're no longer part of us, right? Then everybody got divorced. That was uncomfortable. Then they started picking on gays, and on it goes. And so for them, why did the majority of the Texas Republicans in Congress vote against relief for Superstorm Sandy that hit the Northeast? Because they don't think you're part of them. They think you're the others. And they have no empathy for you. They don't care about you at all. If you were in their church, their community, they'd care a lot. In fact, those same Texas Republicans, when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, all voted for relief money. So it's not about principle. It's not about principle. If it's their people, they care. If it's not their people, they don't. I know it doesn't compute for progressives. How could they not care about other human beings? We're all Americans. We're all in this together. No, to them, they're not in it together with you. You live in Connecticut, you live in New York, you live in California. You're not them, and they'll cut your money, even though it's mainly your money that's being doled out. They'll take it for themselves and give you nothing, and they'll think they're good people. They're like, what? I got it for my community. I robbed you to do it, but you're not a real person. I don't care about you. You're from Connecticut, right? So whereas progressives have an expansive vision of us, includes all the races, genders, but it also includes Alabama, because you know why? Human beings live in Alabama. They're Americans, and we care about them. So when things befall them, when their bridges fall or they get hit by a hurricane, we want to help them because we view them as part of us.
I mean, if a liberal strategist or a liberal commentator was on that panel during the Obama administration debating an infrastructure bill and said the exact same thing, but the tables are flipped and it would benefit blue states, I would be so embarrassed. I'd be so embarrassed by that because you're playing with people's lives here. I mean, our infrastructure as a whole throughout the country is falling apart. And when you're talking about bridges and roads and, think about California, for instance, right? California does have infrastructure issues. We have earthquakes. You have other parts of the country that are now dealing with extreme weather conditions that obviously need improvements in their infrastructure to withstand extreme weather conditions. You're talking about taking money away from certain parts of the country, funneling it into other parts of the country for a political strategy. You're messing with people's lives. What happens when the infrastructure fails in certain parts of the country that you've advocated for a cut in funding so you can funnel that money into other states? It's unacceptable. It's immoral. It's inhuman. Look, I know John Phillips personally. Personally, he's not a bad person. You know what I'm saying? But to hear this kind of commentary, it makes me lose hope because, again, we're not having a fair debate here. We're not debating, ideas that would actually benefit Americans. We're debating ideas that benefit one political party instead of Americans as a whole.
But that goes exactly to my point. I don't know John Phillips, but my guess is he was perfectly nice to you because in that moment you were part of us. And you're having a cordial conversation and relationship, and he's like, oh, okay, I don't want to punch this person in the face. She's in my circle, right? But if you're outside my circle and I'm going to call you another, I don't care. And he's wrong. Like Democrats won't do a deal with Trump because they're part of the resistance. Have you met the Democrats? Those corporate Democrats can't wait to strike a deal. 12 of them just co-sponsored a bill to deregulate the banks. So yes, you'll have bipartisan agreement the minute you're going to help all of their donors. Right? Maybe that's what the problem here is. The infrastructure bill, some portions of it might actually help human beings and not corporate donors. But by the way, don't bet on it. Trump's infrastructure bill is mainly meant to privatize all of our roads and bridges, etc., so that you pay tolls and taxes on them for the rest of your life. You just watched a video by the Young Turks, home of the revolution. If you'd like to get a lot more than that, get the full show by becoming a member. TYTnetwork.com/join.